Watch the ride.
Welcome to the Spice 110 Motorcycle Review Marathon Series. When I review a bike for an extended amount of time, I make several videos. What I'm doing in this series is taking all those videos and putting them back to back so you can watch them in one sitting. If you enjoy the video, hit the like button, subscribe if you are new here, and if you want to help support this channel, please consider supporting me on Patreon, links in the description. Also, if you'd like to see some reviews that don't have multiple videos, just one, check out my Motorcycle Reviews playlist. Enjoy! Everybody, so I'm at Destination Triumph, the Solent store again, and I'm going to be taking a bike out, and well, you know what it is because of the title. It is the Triumph Rocket 3R. This is 2.5 litres of bike. This will be by far the largest CC bike I've ever ridden, and that's surprising to say considering I have ridden the 1600 GT by BMW. So here's one of the old ones. The weight difference between these old ones and the new ones is massive. So, without further ado, let's get going. Just check the key. Yeah, the green light is on the key. Not this key, because this is keyless. Oh wow. I hope I can get this down the side of my house. Okay, then press that, hold the clutch in. Wow, okay, I felt that start. Let's let that warm up just a little bit. I'm very much going to have to get used to this bike. This bike's top trump number probably isn't the CC, it's probably the torque, because it is massive. I believe it's about 160 foot-pounds. I probably should have checked what sort of controls I've currently got on, traction-wise. Maybe I'll have a quick look in a second. So it is a big bike, you know, it's very long, it's very wide, it's very big, but at the same time it's not actually that big in comparison to some of the other bikes, you know, this sort of engine size. It obviously is a triple, and that's why you've got these three huge ports and exhaust coming out the side. The front tyre is as big as a rear tyre on most bikes. In fact, what size is this? This is a 150/80/17 on the front, and the rear one is a 240/50/16. So yeah, that's a big tyre as a stock tyre. This is, of course, shaft driven. No chains here. That's rather a lot of power to be trying to put through a chain. You could, but you know. The brake discs for the rear are huge and are hidden inside the wheel, as you can kind of see here. You see, it's all kind of hidden away in there. You got little Triumph logos in the headlights. Yes, it's a very sleek looking machine. Obviously it is of the cruiser, roadster, dragster sort of what I would call style, because it's somewhere between the two. A bike that can handle and has also got a huge engine. Now I'm going to obviously have to get a little bit more used to this before I start throwing it into corners, but I'm led to believe that because of the weight reduction, this actually rides so much better than the old ones. Never had the opportunity to ride the old one, sadly. Okay, some bikes have a twitch when you rev them. This definitely has that twitch. Turning circle is quite large for a road, and reversing it back up the hill is a little tricky. Oh, but there we go. You barely have to touch the throttle on this thing. Now, as my regulars well know, I'm 6'4", and people say to me, why do you think you need to mention that every time? Because I am taller than 99% of the country. It has a big influence on this. It also is important to people who are as tall as me, because we need to know what bikes we can fit on. Now, this is a big bike, but actually, the seating position actually kind of feels more tailored to a smaller person. You know, the seat itself is a little like cup seat. And it's perfectly comfortable for me, but it does feel a little bit on the like it was designed for the slightly smaller posterior. With the distance to the bars, I can hold this, you know, at full arm's length. I imagine people of a slightly shorter height might be leaning into it a little bit more. I'm not sure. That's not necessarily a bad thing. It is nice that, as I say, that the seat on this is like a cup, because it holds on to you for when you open it up, because I imagine with the amount of torque that this bike has got, it's going to be a little bit insane. We are in second. I'm just going to roll the throttle on. Holy... Okay, I was not expecting that, like, there is no revving, there is no getting to a point it has power, it just goes. It doesn't feel heavy at all. Okay, so can a Rocket 3 overtake? Yeah, and it'll bloody take you by surprise at the same time. Jesus Christ. Because of the amount of torque it seems to have, you can actually ride this bike like around in one gear, that being first, second or third. And it almost seems the same throughout, apart from obviously the higher gear you are, the little less leery it feels, just very slightly. And it actually makes it a little bit smoother to ride around in third rather than second. So I'm getting used to it. This is not a big, heavy brute. It's much more elegant actually to ride. The engine is so well balanced, you really feel no vibrations. When you get on it and you feel a little tweak and a bit of a rumble, but it's so low frequency. You kind of feel this engine more than you actually hear it. I'm pretty sure there's some whales out there going nuts for it. Now reportedly, even though this has got, as we say, a 2.5 litre engine, well, I think actually CC wise it's just under 2.5, but you know, 2.4, 2.5 litres. They're getting 45 miles to the gallon out of this thing. 45! Now I'm sure that is if you are riding very carefully, etc, etc. You know, I'm sure this could eat a lot more fuel if it so chose to. But that's still pretty impressive for when, you know, to be fair, you're not really using the engine all that much. It's so big and relaxed and calm that it's one of those bikes that has so much more than you probably are ever going to use, but in a way, because of the type of bike it is, it's nice that it's got that. You know, there's no drama, there's no effort to doing anything. 70 in fourth, it's doing 3,000 RPM. Brakes are good. Brakes are very good. We all know this bike is quick. We all know it's going to sit on a motorway and barely be running. I think we all are very well aware that something with 2.5 litres is going to do that. So the other question, or the bigger question, is what is it like to ride slower? What's it like weight-wise and, you know, manoeuvrability-wise? What's it like to use day to day? They're the things I'm going to find out, because that's what I'm going to be doing with it. It's hard to put the handling of this into words because it is big. You can sense its bigness and its weight, but it doesn't feel unmanageable. It just kind of, it's very predictable in the way it's going to react and the way it's going to go. Holy crap! I know how strong this wind is. I know what it's normally like coming across this bridge, and this wind is not blowing me. Yeah, let's go down the country roadway, because that's exactly what I said I wanted to do. Try this out on the twistier, slower stuff. The brakes are nice on this too. They are very, very positive. Obviously it takes a little bit more time for them to have an effect because you've got a lot more mass to stop, but they definitely don't feel like they're lacking. And the amount of front end grip from this is huge. But then again, as we say, we've got basically the rear tyre off of most bikes on the front here, so we have a massive amount of contact to use. Obviously, when it comes into riding a bike like this, when you've ridden some large CC bikes in the past, you know, I mean like big, and also overall size big bikes, you kind of expect a certain way out of them, and this is not that. It's much easier to ride than I would have imagined. It's so much smoother than I would have imagined. It turns in so much easier and lighter than I would have imagined. It's just a lot easier to ride with confidence, in the sense of going around corners and stuff. When it comes to opening that throttle up, you need to go through a checklist of about 6 or 7 things before you do that, because it is immense. It is immense. There's no delay between you opening the throttle and your increased forward momentum. The seat height is not high on this. You don't need to be a tall rider to be able to comfortably hold it up. As I say, it doesn't feel that heavy because a lot of the weight is down low. So you don't feel like you're holding up this giant weight that's just wanting to fall to the ground. It's nice. I mean, it's obviously why they've done it. They've got all the weight down low because that improves handling, and on a bike with an engine this big, you want to do that. Part of the reason it also has very firm suspension is to aid the feel and the feedback. But you know, you're going to have a payoff there a little bit with some rider comfort. Should we have a quick look at these brakes, shall we? Obviously, the anti-lock is kicking in there quite strongly. This is just insane. Oh, by the way, pillion pegs, you can't see any. Look at that. I like that a lot. Very clever. Oh no. Get your sausage dog under close control. I could squish it very easily. I cannot put my feet down, just get used to the size of it, balance it. These first ride videos are about finding out the things that jump out first to you, the most noticeable things about the bikes. As I say, I came into this some preconceived notions that maybe it's going to be a certain way to ride, and it just hasn't been. I can't call it light, because it's not light, but it kind of feels light. It just handles and manoeuvres, and you know, I haven't ridden many bikes this big, and I already feel like I'm getting close to scraping the pegs down there. I don't really want to do that. So I mean, like, it's mad. It really is mad. Anyway, I'm going to pop to the shops now, as that was the reason I came out, other than just to pick this thing up. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button. I do lots and lots of videos on lots of different bikes, and we're doing lots of work with Triumph this year and other people. And if you really want to help support this channel, please consider joining my Patreon for as little as $1 a month. Anyway, I'll catch you next time. Hey everybody, so I've got this bike for just a couple of days from Destination Triumph, and Reno has happened to have just been sent home from work because she has asthma and the guidelines have changed and she's not allowed to work anymore. So this is, I'll be honest, this is a bit of a jolly ride, but we do need to go to the shop to get some extra bits for Reno because she's now off for the next 7 to 14 days. But I said to Reno, would you like to have a go on the back of the Rocket? And she said yes. Come on then.
Let's go. 2,
Yes.
1. Oh! There we go.
So, slow manoeuvrability 2 up. I don't really notice the difference with Reno being on the back.
That's true. That's because I'm small, isn't it?
Yes, but also this bike's just got so much mass. I think it's no surprise to say that you don't worry about performance changes with someone on the back of this, like it's going to make any difference. They do a version of this, the GT version, which is slightly different. It's got a little sissy bar on the back, so you put, correction, passenger seat rest, backrest. So you don't have to worry about flying off the back so much.
Oh god, yeah. I think that would give me comfort, to be fair.
Oh yeah, there's one there. So comfort-wise, what's it like for you? For you?
When you go over speed bumps fast, it's a bit scary because I feel like I fly off the seat, and I feel like if I fall off the seat, oh my god, I feel like if I fall off the seat, I'm gonna fall off the bike. Oh, I sat on the bike, and with the side stand down, I can flat fit.
There you go, information for the shorter rider.
Yeah, so if
you
you're short...
you will have to be pretty brave though.
Yeah.
This is 291 kilos.
It's a heavy bike.
It does have, what's it called? Hill. Basically, if you're on a slope and you start going backwards, it'll put the rear brake on.
Oh god, thank god for that, because I didn't even think of that. But then when you started saying about hill starts, I was like, oh my god, I would just fall off.
Even just trying to do a turn, like the radius on this, you can't quite do a U-turn in a narrow road. And then it was a bit cambered, and I had to push it back up the hill backwards with my legs, and I was like, oh god, this is when you think, should it have a reverse gear?
Yeah. I was saying earlier how being on the back of this bike and feeling the power difference reminds me of what it felt like when I first rode a big bike. When I first got on a 500, I think it was?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because everything... Oh god, I'm scared. I get scared, but then I trust you. And I'm sure it'll be fine.
I'm sure it will. We'll find out.
Oh god, that doesn't fill me with confidence.
It's fine. It's very easy to ride this bike.
Yeah.
And your weight on it is such a little difference. It's like, it's one of the things, if you're going to take a passenger, having a big heavy bike is a wonderful thing because you just don't notice them as much.
And even when I was sat on it, it felt light as well, which was weird. I wasn't expecting it.
It's because it's all his weight's in its engine.
Oh no, and it's a beast.
The wheels and the drive shaft of the swing arm. Oh, it looks like such a nice evening, but it's bloody freezing.
I'm alright, I'm behind you.
You hear just the backfiring. It's just the back of this bike is backfiring almost constantly on overrun. It just goes. It has got a massive engine. I mean, 3 cylinders and it's 2.5 litres. It's just, well, you do the maths. To the shop we must go. If they've got anything, I'll be surprised. I hope you can find some bits though.
Yeah.
And
scary.
Well, they've done a thing on this bike apparently that the pegs will scrape before you get to the edge of the tyre. So you know you're not going to just fall off. You've got warning if you touch the peg on the ground. You know that's like it. Don't go any further. How will it take the curb?
It's like just like a stone. Ready?
Yes.
Oh, sorry. My leg didn't work then. Oh. Look at this beast. Oh, the peg's not even down. Don't fall off.
The peg?
No, peg is down. It was like...
peg?
I mean... The swing arm.
Stand?
Yes.
Okay, well we got our shoppings. And now Reno can smack me in the back of the head.
Sorry, my visor was open. It's closed now. Oh, Bass it.
We have got our shoppings. We didn't manage to get that much, but we got a few bits. Well, this was going to just be a fun little one to see what it's like with 2 Up with Reno on it. We had to pop to the shop anyway, and right now any shop run is make a video time.
Yeah, definitely.
We are, as I said in the last video, I'm not making any unnecessary journeys unless it's an appointment to do with work stuff or actually getting food.
Yeah.
But I am still managing to sort of work in the bikes at the same time. Well, with this one anyway, I don't know what's going to happen after, because, well, I don't know how much I'll be riding and how much, well, we will all be allowed to be out and about. We'll find out.
I like it. I think it looks nice too. And it's got a cute little face.
Why did I come back down here?
I don't know.
I thought it would look pretty.
Well, it does look pretty, although my visor's steaming up now.
Oh, it's because it's freezing at the same time. Right, well, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like button. If you are new here, remember to hit that subscribe button. And if you really want to help me out, and I really would appreciate it, even more so at the moment being a self-employed full-time YouTuber, I really do appreciate the support massively.
Thank you, patrons, and everyone else.
Bye-bye. I'm waving at a camera that's dead.
Oh, I was about to do that as well. I could wave at your chest one.
How's that going to work?
Don't know. Oh, I'm not waving. I'm not taking my hands off you until we get on a straight road, though. Oh God, I can't see.
Off-road?
Oh God.
What's it like off-road?
I'll be less scared because I can't see. Oh, actually, it feels better. It feels less scary than any other bike you've taken me off-road on.
It's probably because it's just crushing the stones into the ground.
Need to do a bit of gardening, just get this bike and ride it around.
I know there is a bump.
Big bump.
How slowly, actually? We're supposed to be ending the video. How slowly can you go on this bike?
Oh God.
Can,
How slow?
Well,
can
it's
you
doing
go?
it itself. You can hear it maintaining its revs. This is so easy and balanced.
Yeah. Ooh.
Like I could turn tighter, but the main problem is I'd have to lean forward to do it because I can't turn the bars. Oh, it's so controlled. This is without a doubt the easiest bike to ride with a pillion on that I've ever read. Red?
Bumpity bump.
Right, should we go now?
Yes.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Hold on, before you go, I better give you a bit of an update because I actually filmed stuff so far in advance that it's going to be a bit confusing with stuff moving so quickly at the moment with this lockdown. I'm saying this now on the 28th of March. This will hit Patreon probably today or tomorrow and will be into YouTube the week after. So at the point that YouTube sees this, it's like a week and a half ahead of what's going on. The day this was recorded was, only a couple of hours after this was recorded, was the evening that the proper lockdown was put in force. So, movement was massively restricted. I had this bike and I had to return it. It was supposed to go back on the Wednesday. I ended up taking it back on the Tuesday, which is the next video I have, which is on a bike, and that is the review of the Rocket. That is also the last video I have filmed on a bike. Since that day, I've basically been on lockdown. I'm not riding unless I absolutely need to. In fact, I've been walking to the shop most times, and there's only been one occasion, maybe two, that I've had to jump on the bike for 5 minutes because I've had to go a little bit further, but not long enough to make a video. So unfortunately, the Rocket review is the last on-bike video I have for now. But I have lots planned that I can do from home. I have work to do on my bikes. Don't worry, I'll come up with some interesting and entertaining stuff. I'm going to get you guys involved a bit more as well. With some of the sort of viewer submitted videos. But yeah, just to say that, be aware, my videos are pre-recorded, so this is well behind the times of when you see this. But don't worry, we're going to get through this the best we can. Well, I hope we can anyway. Obviously, a massive thanks to my Patreon supporters for staying on board. Even the new ones that have joined since. I understand this is a difficult time for everyone, and I appreciate people who have been like, we understand that for you as a self-employed YouTuber, this is a pretty uncertain time, and they're staying behind me, and that's absolutely amazing. If you can't do that, that's absolutely fine, I understand that. But if you can hit that like button if you're enjoying the videos, maybe share the odd one, that would be absolutely fantastic for me, because that means that more people get to see the stuff that I make. And it's free, obviously, to click a button. As I said, I'm not riding because we're not supposed to be going anywhere unless it's essential. And realistically, yeah, the roads are lovely and empty, but the fact is, if you have a small off, you end up in A&E. You don't want to be near A&E. And also it's putting bigger strain on the NHS. And also the police are going to have an issue with you now. So, yeah, it's a sucky time when you love riding bikes. But we'll get through it. Anyway, hope you're safe out there. Stay safe. Do what you can. Hope you're managing to get food and stuff. And I'll catch you all next time. Bye-bye. Hey everybody, as you may well be aware, Destination Triumph at the Solent store lent me the Triumph Rocket 3R for a few days, but actually yesterday was the day that we had the proper lockdown. I have to return this bike, it is work related, so that's basically what I'm doing, and I'm going to record the review as I'm taking it back, so I hope I get this right. But then how much about the Rocket 3 do I really need to tell you about? It's a cruiser style bike, a muscle cruiser you might say, and it's got a 2.5 litre engine. It has got 150 by 80 17 wheel on the front and a 240 by 50 by 16 on the rear. That is a massive rear tyre, but then it's got a massive amount of torque. I shouldn't give you the specs and figures while I'm not riding it, because that's going to be the more fun bit, but there's a few bits to show you on this bike, like the fold out pillion pegs, very nice. Cruisers aren't really my style of bike, but actually this I really quite like, and having ridden it, it's definitely a riding machine. It's not a thing just to go in straight lines by any means, even though it's very good at that. Shaft driven, poster chain, 3 cylinders obviously, 2.5 litres, absolutely massive, huge brakes back and rear. It's a £19,500 bike, it's going to have pretty much everything you're expecting it to have. It is keyless, and one of the nice things about this key is you can switch it off. So you know where people come up to your door with one of those receivers and then use it to transmit the signal to your bike or car from your keyless fob, then they can drive off and they will be able to drive it until they turn the engine off. This, you just turn the key off and they can't do that. Seems like a very simple solution to that problem, and it works. To have the key be able to switch off, you just press and hold the Triumph logo and it goes from green to red. Red means no, green means go. And we're on green, so we turn on the power. You probably won't be able to see the screen too well here, unfortunately. Okay, so running through the controls, clutch, pass light. This is for your cruise control. I've not been using that, to be fair. Low beam, high beam. This is the menu button for the driving modes, because it has different modes, you'll be glad to know. Indicators, this is an up, down, left, right, centre click joystick, which is to be used in relation with the home button over here. We have a lock button here, so the way this works is that when you stop the bike, and you put it on its side stand, you press this, so you turn this off, and then you press this, and you hear it, steering locks on. So let's get it off, turn that on. If you have the key in your pocket, that's going to turn it off and start the bike up. Home buttons here, which allows you to go through your riding modes, which is basically your traction control, ABS and all that sort of setup. You have the bike setup, which covers hill hold. That's helpful on a big bike like this. Basically, the rear brake will stay on to stop you from rolling down a hill. Automatic cancelling indicators, which I've used on the RS, and basically, yeah, they seem to work, but I would use them as a backup just because I do. Traction control and service information. If we go back again, you've got trip setup, which is to do with your trip display. Then you've got display setup, where you can change a lot of the things on the screen. It's not quite as different as like on the RS, where you have that whole big screen, you can change lots of stuff, but you can change like the whole thing from being white or being black, depending on what you'd rather do and what information is kind of displayed there. Okay, well I better get heading back, I can't be out for too long. So, bike starts up on the start button. There is a quick shifter and some other different options available on this bike. This hasn't got it, so I'm using it manually. To be fair, I don't really think a quick shifter has a place on a bike like this, because you are not changing gear very often. Second and third is pretty much all you need. Town and motorway. And I'm not kidding. As I say, I've only had this bike a couple of days, but it took me only a few hours to kind of get used to it and realise, okay, it is a big, heavy bike. It's nearly 300 kilos. It is 2.5 litres, and it has got Well, it's only got about 160 brake horsepower, but it's got 160 something foot-pounds of torque. That's about 220-ish Newton meters. It is a lot. It is a lot. It's one of the reasons why this is so good to up, because you are just not going to notice the extra weight of that person. But for all its weight and heft, you don't imagine that you could just sling it into a corner like this. To my understanding, Triumph have been quite clever about this bike, that you will actually hit the pegs before you get to the edge of the tyre's grip, which is good, because it means that you're never in that world of like, how much grip have I got left on the edge of the tyre? Am I about to sort of, am I going to wash out as I get over too far? If the peg ain't grinding, you ain't sliding. I am, of course, as you will well know, 6'4", and actually the seating position on this feels like it's for a slightly shorter person, because you've got a little bucket seat which is just holding onto my butt. It's any smaller it would have been too small. The distance that you grab on the bars, the way that your legs feel, like I kind of feel like I'm quite sat upright, because as I say, it feels like the ergonomics of something was supposed to take a smaller person. So for the size of the bike, it isn't actually necessarily that friendly to people who are 6'4". I am very comfy here, but I actually have got a little bit of shoulder pain from this yesterday. Combination, when you get the cold weather blowing over your neck, but also the fact that my arms are just slightly out, slightly forward, because of the way that, well, as you can see, my knees are much further forward than most people's probably would be. It does about 45 mpg, which is pretty damn incredible for a 2.5 litre. This is, of course, Euro 5, which means it's got to pass all of the new emissions rules. And as much as, bike manufacturers want to drive power and performance, it's now about economy and not, hurting the environment. And it's actually quite interesting that they've managed to still get this much performance out of an engine which is still managing to get 45 miles to the gallon. Now, admittedly, that's probably someone going really, really careful, but you don't really ride this bike with many revs. It only revs to about, well, it's got 8 on the clock. I'm guessing it's probably more like 7. I don't know if you notice, I think I've been in first pretty much this whole time. First gear is completely usable. Like, I'm doing 30 in first and it's doing 3,000 RPM. I can guarantee you I can get a lot more out of first. We'll have a little look when we get to the slip road. I need to get off this island first. To me, this has got a couple of reasons to exist. If you just like this style of bike and you want to own the bike with the biggest engine in the world, production, I believe this is the largest capacity engine being sold in a production bike, you buy this. As I say, it is 19.5 grand, and I think it is a bit of, I don't know if it's a status symbol, but it is definitely something that some people would buy as a, I have a Rocket 3, more as to say I have a Rocket 3, because it's nuts. The other people, I think, is people who want to use it for touring. I don't think this doesn't lend itself to being an ideal tour bike. Okay, there is space for some panniers on the back and you can get some Triumph luggage for it, but maybe its ideal situation is a cross-country weapon. Like, I don't know, say you need to get across Europe in a couple of days. This would be an awesome bike to do that on. No wind protection though, that's another thing. When you're talking about touring fatigue, wind protection, it has none. You can get a screen. They do a GT version of this bike which has got some more toury related things on it. A little sissy bar for the passenger. That's alright, but back seat, if you don't know what that is. Little stands up, stop them falling off the back of the bike, because obviously this has got a flat seat and those fold out pegs, and if you really gunned it and the person on the back fell off, they could fall on top of the rear tyre. You don't want that, because it's right there behind the bike. So that little sissy bar is probably a kind thing to have to give someone some rest assurance and not feel like they need to hold on for grim death the whole time, because they do need to hold on for grim death because of the acceleration for this thing. It may not be the fastest on paper, 0 to 60, and this bike may only do 145 mile an hour, but the way it delivers that power is unlike anything I've ever ridden. It just gives you the power. It's just like, oh, here you go, all of it from nowhere. The peak in the torque curve is actually around 4,000 RPM, but 4,000 RPM isn't far away from opening the throttle. It's a little crazy. The brakes on this are very, very nice. They are big and they are powerful. Yes, it takes a little bit of time for this bike to come to a stop, a bit more than you might expect, because basically it's got a huge amount of mass and weight to try and slow down without locking the wheels. And as I say, you can just feel that it's got that bit of extra mass that's taking it that little bit longer to actually slow down. Over in a second. We'd like to accelerate 3 cars. You see how it kind of takes you by surprise? You can't quite prepare for it. Like on a bike, you can brace yourself, you know when the power's coming. But this just comes in a massive wave of just nuttiness. Now let's put it in. I'm in 6th. I'm doing 70 miles an hour and it's at 2,500 RPM. That's ridiculous, that's way too. 5th, 3,000 RPM, 70 miles an hour. And at this point, yeah, it's still got as much grunt as it did before. Jesus bloody Christ. I've ridden faster, more powerful bikes in the sense of horsepower, but nothing just pulls like this and doesn't stop pulling. Obviously, we are currently in some pretty strange times. This will be the last day I'm riding until lockdown is over, unless it's going to be to get food. But I'm going to try and go on foot because it's also part of the reason why I'm being relatively careful on this ride. I don't really want to risk, injury to myself, because right now minor injury will result in me going to A&E, and I don't want to do that. So I'm being relatively calm with this. I do have a promise from Destination Triumph though that I can borrow this again in the future, because I would love to take this out on a warm sunny day and just cruise through the fields. Not the fields themselves, I mean, like nice roads where you've got green trees and fields and it's all warm, because it's just so relaxed. Like right now I'm doing 40 mile an hour, 2,500 RPM, 3rd gear, and it's just, you don't feel the engine running. You really don't. You can feel this slight rumble, but other than that you don't. And when you accelerate, yeah, the rumble increases a little bit, but you don't really feel too much with the bike, and it's just it is so refined. It feels like if Rolls-Royce made a bike, this is what it would be like, because the riding comfort is great. Sure, it's very firm. When you get onto some bumpy bits, yeah, it's no Rolls-Royce, but on roads that are relatively okay, it just glides. Look at it, it's just... Now, as you know, because I do my reviews completely honestly, I always look for criticisms, and it's been quite difficult, to be fair, on this bike. Now, even with the Street Triple, which I loved, I found a few things on this, other than the fact that it is, 20 grand, but then I think it's 20 grand's worth. I have problems finding an issue with this bike, because it kind of is what it is. You don't really get anything else quite like this. Well, there are a few things, but what I'm saying is it's not like you can compare it to a cheaper competitor with a 2,500cc engine, because you don't have one. So, lean it in, just be calm and know that unless you hit the pegs, you are not all the way over. Which I am not, but I am getting close. Now, as I say, this bike does come with a quick shifter if you choose that option. I don't believe this one has one, so, I'm using the clutch all the time. And the clutch is pretty strong. It's quite springy, and you do notice, if you're at the lights for a few minutes and you're holding it, which you shouldn't be, you should be pretty neutral anyway, you can notice it's a heavy clutch. It's not the heaviest clutch I've felt, to be fair, and as I say, you don't really use it that much anyway, because this thing is happy to run from no revs in pretty much any gear. So, second gear, lean in, and mind the gravel and stuff. Whether a bike this big and powerful is needed is completely down to, well, the person making it and the person buying it. If you don't, like it, then that's fine. But as a bike that exists to do what it does what it does very well. As I say, I really like it. I can't see myself ever owning one. I don't think I'd ever want to put 20 grand into a bike myself. But I can see why some people would. And looking at these new bikes, the quality of them, the build quality is absolutely lovely. Like, it's really nice. Every single thing, it's not just the build quality, it's the thought that's gone into it. Like, they have designed just little bits about it. that are just nice little finishing touches, like putting the emblems everywhere and using particularly nice hardware. And now we get it through. Wow, mama! Downshifting. It's got relatively good engine braking when you're going really fast and you come back down the box. But obviously, as I said, you're normally riding in first or second, so you're not going to be using engine braking. So when you let the throttle off, it does slow down. You know, it's there, but it isn't so ferocious that it feels like the bike's going to, you know, stop and lurch forward. Oh, it's quite bumpy through here though. I mean, it has got a big squidgy seat, so I'm not getting any back pain with this, and I have a very susceptible back to having issues. But it is my shoulders, and I'm feeling it again now. It's something about just the tops of my shoulders, having them maybe lifted up this high. It's a bit higher than I'm used to. Maybe if I sat slightly better. I feel far too upright and proper here. Riding like the Queen. Well, I'm in a Rolls Royce of a bike, so riding like the Queen. Take fingertip control. It is a very pleasurable bike to ride. I've very much enjoyed my time with it, even though it has been short. As I say, in the future, I may well borrow one from Triumph again, just for a bit of fun. Maybe I could borrow the GT if they had one of those, just to see what that was like, but I don't think there's a huge amount of difference in it. Yeah, getting close to the edge of the tyre. That side's completely clean. Anyway, as I say, huge thanks to Destination Triumph for lending me that bike. The world went a bit nuts, so haven't had to have that long, but we will be back here once things get back to usual. I hope you're all doing well out there. Look after yourselves and stay in. I am doing it now, as much as it pains me. It is my job, as I say. Catch you next time.